He's left me alone in here for ages. And there are nets and boxes. I did say it was my ideal fish tank. You'll never know. Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Nice to see you again. I'm in a new place, as you can hopefully see from the background. I've decided to start a new series, which might be one of one, but we'll see how we get on, where I come and visit other people's actual proper fish rooms other than my cobbled together, messy, chaotic. Well, you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. So, I'm in a subscriber / moderator's house in his fish room, where we're looking at the tanks. He's got two big old tanks in this fish room. If I spin round, you see this one. There is said moderator. And this massive one here, which is 8 foot by 4 foot, reminiscent of someone else's 8 foot by 4 foot, but a lot cleaner and more fish tank like. So I'm with Liam, fish vet. What's the other name that you've got on the Discord?
Tits McGee.
Might cut that. We'll go with Liam. I'm with Liam.
Bleeps McGee.
He's showing me around his mega fish tank, which I must admit I'm extremely jealous of. Talk us through what you've got in here.
Sure. So we've got a few fish in here at the moment. The stock's been sort of reduced over time for a number of different reasons, but right now, kind of front and centre at the moment, you've got the two azul peacock bass, and then a monoculus peacock bass, which you can see there. So they're a good chunky size. I've had the azuls for quite a long time, since they were quite small. But the mono I've had since last year. It was sort of an adoption / rescue from a smaller tank where I think it was getting picked on by other peacock bass. I think for me, my kind of passion around the fish comes from the sort of slightly more unusual things, and just sort of down the bottom here you can see my Hoplius curupira or black wolf fish. They are really cool fish, huge teeth, good attitude. They're quite sinister, but actually I quite like the fact that they look evil. They've got huge teeth, but actually I found them to be quite reasonable. I've had a number over the years, and aside from a couple of differences of opinion with other fish, they've generally been pretty reasonable.
When you say quite reasonable, what's the other end of quite reasonable?
As long as they're not, as long as they don't fit in their mouth, or they don't think they can fit in their mouth, they tend to be okay. And the interesting thing I found with the curupira is they actually they cohabitate with quite a few different things. There's a gold wolf fish at the top of the back as well there, if the mono gets out of the way. And again, I've had black wolves with gold wolves for a number of times. I've had a shoal of golds together before. It is a bit hit and miss. They all have their different personalities. They are very different from one another. I've had very shy curupira. I've had very gregarious ones. This one's always at the front, always begging for food. He's almost he gets involved with the peacock bass quite readily, and he feeds very happily. So yeah, they're sort of my favourites at the moment, and I've had this one for quite a while now. So he's doing all right. Unfortunately, the bass have taken a bit of a dislike, but underneath the wood there is a flagtail. He's got a bit of a shredded fin, tail fin at the moment. I'm hoping over time, with a bit of patience, he will come back out again. He is still quite happy. There is also, believe it or not, Pimelodus blotchy eye, or as I call him, a little brand lynx cat. Very active, very similar kind of in shape and proportions to the lynx, but far less expensive. He is the supermarket brand version of a lynx cat. But one day I would love to have one of those. And somehow he survived without so much as a scratch, which is quite good considering his size.
Did I get the dimensions right? Is it 8 by 4 by
8.4 by 2.5. Yeah.
And what was your evolution? What led you to a tank like this and fish like this?
Did you
jump straight into this, or did you work up to it?
I've always found, so as a kid growing up, I've always had fish tanks, and I've always found that there's always a bigger tank on the horizon. So I've always sort of gone, well, I've got a 6 foot tank. Well, what's the evolution from a 6 foot tank? Well, can I fit a 7 foot tank in? But after a while, having moved out and having rented and all these sorts of things. It wasn't until I sort of found a property that had the right sort of scale and size that I could actually get a tank of this dimension. And to be honest with you, it was a bit of bloody mindedness on my part. It was a case of, if I'm getting this house, I want a big tank again. I want to be able to kind of get back into the hobby properly and enjoy things. So this was this wasn't an easy thing to do in this house. The floors are floating here, so the floors have to be reinforced. It's had to come through the window. So any kind of extrication, it's going to have to go back out that way because it will not fit through doors.
Yeah.
But you do these things because you enjoy them.
So this was a project tank with this type of fish in mind. It was always going to be predators.
Yeah. So prior to this, I had. So again, we're talking till 10 years ago. I had a 7x3x2, which I did on a shoestring budget. It was one of those things when you're a kid, you were prioritising, I say a kid, I was in my early 20s, and I was prioritising having a mega fish tank because I thought, that'd be the coolest thing I could possibly do.
I'm with you. Mega
fish
tanks are the coolest thing you can do.
But trying to do it on a budget was somewhat challenging because obviously first you move out, you get yourself this little one-bedroom ground floor flat, and you're just like, crikey, I'm going to consume half of my living room with a fish tank sort of thing. So that's the follies of youth, but that was the last time I had a big tank, and it wasn't, as I say, it wasn't until we got here that I sort of said, right, we're definitely having this. This house is perfect for it. Whatever it takes, we'll make it work. So I would have loved to have gone bigger, believe it or not. If I'd have thought a bit more about the dimensions, I was basing it on the sort of the layout of the floor and where I was going to put it and things, and how to plumb it, etc. But the reality was, I didn't think I needed to go bigger. What I wanted was essentially this. Where do you go after peacock bass, stingray, wolffish, where you start talking about some of the really, really silly things?
Yeah.
And frankly,
you're turning your basement into cold water.
Yeah, I mean, I know a few people in the UK who've got some pretty substantial tanks, and this is enough for now. If I want to go bigger than this, we're talking indoor pond really, because the cost of glass nowadays, as I'm sure you'll attest, is problematic. So I don't think how much this would cost to build nowadays, but it was.
Did you do this yourself, or was this?
No, so there's a company who long since gone under, because I said to them, you're doing them too bloody cheap, and it turns out it probably was. But yes, it was. I had it designed, or I designed it, bought it from them, and that was. It was delivered. It came through the window, and here it is now. Unfortunately, years of various things, big fish and so forth, have taken its toll. We've had our fair share of disasters. I've had it decided to empty itself on the floor, whilst I was away, which was quite entertaining. We've had as you can see, some of the baffles and things have moved around, and it really just needs kind of draining down and a bit of time spent on it repairing. But I'm sure you can tell, I'm fairly sizable, and trying to crawl underneath a large fish tank is not in my wheelhouse at the moment. So as and when at some point this will all get stripped down, and I will spend some time and effort just trying to get things sorted out. But no, I've always loved having fish, but the biggest challenge I found when you have a big tank is when they get to a certain size, you stop being able to get things to put in there. You're talking about you're looking for a large fish to go in a fish tank with large fish, especially with predators like these guys. You're really limited to what you can add. So that kind of is the reason why I ended up with this little tank.
Do you get nervous trying to add new fish? Because that's one of the things I've come across is once you've got an established tank like this, there's a hierarchy establishes itself. There's the pecking order. Is it then?
It's hit and miss. It's hit and miss. If you're putting a number of large fish in at the same time, I tend to find it spreads things out a little. Whereas if you put one fish in, that natural kind of I can't remember what the exact terminology is, but when they're sort of when they're out of sorts and feeling vulnerable, big predatory fish like this will seek them out. They'll investigate, and that's when things can go wrong. So you just have to be a little bit careful. You have to be mindful that it might not work.
Change up lots of things at the same time. That kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, I've rescaped as necessary. I have had some pretty silly things. I've had Dorado in here before. ironically is probably one of the fish I would have again, but I'd have in a bigger tank just because they're so active and they're so constant that they just need probably another half a foot of width and another 3 or 4 foot in length just to give them the space to really kind of stretch their fins. But yeah, you just have, when you have something like that, you need to have cover, you need to have, you know, all the associated efforts to plan for the worst case, because if it does go wrong, you have to think about how you're going to deal with that.
Indeed. So you mentioned the other tank with a smaller fish in it, and I must say before we move on from the big one, it's kind of my ideal tank. That is what I built Mega Tank for, to have fish like that in it, so 100% jealous. But we'll move on to the smaller tank. What have we got in here?
So, like I sort of alluded to earlier, the problems of having a big tank is it means your ability to change things and move things around is somewhat more difficult. And sometimes it's just as fun having a large tank with lots of small fish in, as again I think you can attest now, as it is to having a big tank with big fish. So this was built as a sort of South American community. I will say now there should be a lot more tetras in there than there are now. The thread fins have taken a bit of a liking to all my emperor tetras, so lesson learnt with that one. But generally speaking, it's an established community. It's been running for a couple of years now. Everything in there that you see there has been there for pretty much the duration.
How big is this one? What's the tank?
So weirdly,
it's bigger than it looks.
Yeah. So this is a metric tank, whereas that one's imperial. So I bought this used. I think it was a coral table previously, so I had to do an awful lot of cleaning and prepping for it. But it's a metre front to back, it's 1.5 metres side to side, and then it is 60 or 70 centimetres tall, I can't remember which. And then underneath is a gigantic sump, which is far, far larger than it needs to be for this tank, especially with the stock that's in there. But it was a marine setup. But this was a true DIY, so I bought it second hand. Yeah. I've had to do all the piping, sort of set out the sump, which we're not going to look at because it's horrendous underneath there, and let's not look at that. That is the essence of DIY, is do most of it yourself and then give up about 90%.
Does it work?
Exactly that. It works.
It works.
But yeah, so it's it's the equivalent of that, but with much smaller fish, and I get the same out of this as I do the big tank. They're really nice fish. Occasionally, the breeding pair of Geophagus Alticinu, gold dust Geophagus, I think they're called. They're brilliant. They were breeding this in the last week or so. I think she's taken dislike to him and him to her at the moment, but they resolve it quite rapidly. And they get back down to business. Sorry, you've got a fluffy speed bump there. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it was centered around sort of the cichlids as a centerpiece, but there's L numbers in there. There's all sorts of tetras. There's Coletti tetra. There's the emperors, as I say, which have been decimated by the bloody thread fins. That flagtail, everyone tells me they should shoal, but he or she has been brilliant on his own. Really, really personable little fish, actually. Likes to tap on the polycarbonate lids when he's hungry. So yeah, quite an entertaining little chap. As I say, there's L numbers in there. There's Royal Tiger L333s. There's L127s. There's L240s and Corridorus and all sorts in there. But I tried to escape it with a bit of a riverine kind of feel, so sort of the bank with the boulders and things. I tried to make things look natural, but the reality is it probably looks a bit of a mess, to be honest with you. I need to tidy it. It needs a proper tidy up. I haven't touched it for a while.
When your fish like to do the aquascaping for you, you don't
well,
have that much of a
exactly. And as you see, obviously the outlet for the pump has moved all the substrate around, so any hope of moving that back just quickly gets blasted out. But no, it's a really established, really mature little tank. Actually, it's doing pretty well. See the yellowed water from the tannins from the wood as well adds to the look quite nicely as well. I think.
Fantastic, yeah. So it's funny when you get into talking about tanks this size of the little tank.
Yes, no, I think the full system's about 1,300 litres. So with the sump, I mean the sump is huge. The tank is about 1,000 litres, maybe 1,100, and the sump underneath is 200-300 litres on its own. So yeah. Girthy.
What a word to end it with. Thank you, that was perfect. Do you mind if I just do a little bit of filming and go around the tanks? I'll just shut that door so as I can get the light. You want to stay in here with me? Yeah? Okay. Thank you.
Right, leave it.
Cheers.
Well done.
Yeah, so as I said, this is kind of my ideal fish tank. Very jealous. He's left me alone in here for ages. And there are nets and boxes. I did say it was my ideal fish tank. You'll never know.
Left alone with the coolest fish, nets, buckets, and water at my fingertips. So jealous of these amazing tanks. I wish I had fish like this at home. Maybe if I just sneak a couple with me. Would anyone know? Easier to ask forgiveness than permission. I'm on a fish relocation mission. Easier to ask forgiveness than permission. I'm on a fish relocation mission. Mega tank has an instant boost. This looks so cool, that's my belief. These fish are freaking awesome. I can put up with being a thief. Easier to ask forgiveness than permission. I'm on a fish relocation mission. Easier to ask forgiveness than permission. I'm on a fish relocation mission. Easier to ask forgiveness than permission. I'm on a fish relocation mission. Easier to ask forgiveness than permission. I'm on a fish relocation mission.
So, I couldn't be happier that I went over to visit Liam and he left me unattended in his fish room for quite a while. I now have the tank I always wanted. I've got the 3 bass, the catfish. I also took some of the angels and tetras, basically as much as I get away with before he caught me. This is exactly what I wanted from it. This is what Mega Tank was built for. This is what I had in mind. The bass are doing great in here. They've only been in a couple of days, but everything is so peaceful. There's no bullying, no aggression. The Oscar's fine. All these silver dollars seem to be acting like dither fish and keeping everyone cool. Adding all the fish at once seems to have cancelled out any chance for aggression or anything to get picked on. Everyone's just chilling and doing really well. So yes, there'll be future videos on these. We'll talk a bit more about them. But yeah, I really enjoyed that. It was a very profitable trip. So if you like this kind of thing, or more importantly, if you know anyone who has stingrays and wants me to come and film their tank, let me know. See you in the next one. Bye.